Today, we are going to talk about how to pitch your designs to your stakeholders or clients. Thank you for joining us in today's session. We're doing this session for UXPH core volunteers. So if you'd like to become a UXPH core volunteer, these are the things that you will learn with the mentors that within UXPH. So aside from our regular events, we're doing this for special sessions, quality, high-level sessions that normally you'd pay for Norman Nielsen like at 75,000 pesos for one session, but
Yes.
learning it here. No? So yun ang value nito. Okay, so today we'll be talking about how to pitch your designs to your stakeholders or clients, and I'll be sharing my experiences, because I seem to be one of the elder people in UX. Sharing some of my
Old cards.
Careful the word.
Yeah, and with us today, if you'd like to introduce, this is pre-recorded. We're recording this session. We have some people from UXPH volunteers here. Anybody who want to introduce themselves? And then, who is the lead of our community and volunteers?
Hi, I'm Janelle.
Show yourself.
Show myself. Wait lang. Oh my God.
You put it on the spot.
This is live.
I'm the community lead, events lead. Yeah. And go Kringle.
Skill is?
That was super fast.
Yes, very simple. Introduction lang, diba?
Okay, so obviously I haven't really fixed myself yet. Well, hello and good afternoon. So my name is Kringle. I'm the volunteers lead. So I guess this is a plug in rin. If you want to join us, it would be great. You would be able to join these kinds of sessions and also help out and learn more about UX.
Yes.
You know, hello.
Thank you. Anybody else want to introduce themselves? You did.
Sige na nga, ano next?
Go.
Yeah, Mars.
Go, Mars.
Hello, I'm Mars. I'm bootcamp coordinator for UXPH. So
Yeah.
all of you. I hope this session is fun and interactive.
Yeah. So also advantage in the future we'll have some boot camps for UXPH. Yay!
Surprise!
Anybody else want to introduce themselves? You don't need to, pero if you want, you're shy. Okay. Sige.
Going once, going twice, and
all right. Sige. Nice. So we'll start with the session. I would like to tailor fit this session as much as possible to you. First of all, I was one of the things that we're practicing in our sessions is the concept of active recall, because there is a study that if you just hear about it or you highlight it, you will forget about it. And there's a research about the forgetting curve. Unless you actively recall it. And what does that mean? Basically, we quiz you. So we regularly have to quiz it ourselves for us to remember. And we've been experimenting doing this in our events. So try active recall. So we'll do a lot of active recall while we're doing this. Okay. So how to pitch your designs to stakeholders and clients. What would you like to learn in today's session in relation to yung ating main topic? I do have some things in mind that I'm going to share, but I would rather tailor fit it to answer things that you are very interested in learning about. Okay. All right. Nice. Awesome sauce. How to effectively, impactfully, is this even a word? Communicate your work. How can we can be engaged with the participants' audience? Persuasion tips and strategies. Okay. This one, I have this. So meron tayong based on actual research. How to speak their language, like fitting the prezzo to match their priorities. Perfect. The best approach is communicating your ideas to the stakeholders. Okay, nice. We'll try to revisit all this today as we go along. Huh? Yeah. So I would start first by asking you, um, first, why is this important? No, why is this important for you to pitch your designs? No? While you're typing, type nyo na kung ano yung what's in your mind. Why is it important for you to pitch your designs? Why does this matter? Or what's the trigger for you to pitch this design? I'll tell you my story why I started to learn how to do this. Mainly money. Of course, the main trigger natin is for me, I started learning how to do this because I needed to learn how to make more money. And I think that's a lot of motivation for a lot of people, no? Just to live comfortably. No? I remember when I started doing this and doing pitching my ideas and started selling, one of my first effective ways of doing and selling my ideas, I pitched to parang a project for a government project. So masaya ang government to working for government. And it's so fun because that government project, I was only 4 hours a week lang ako doon sa government project for like 2 months. And I was earning like 20 to 25,000 per month. So that's roughly around 5,000 pesos an hour, di ba? Per week, parang ganun. Hindi, per month, 5,000. Hindi, kung so 20 ano pala yun? 20 hours a month. So mga 1,000 pala. 1,000 a month, an hour. So it's fun. One of the most pinakamataas kong ROI when I did this. That's why it was important for me to learn and how to pitch. So to help clients understand what they're imagining or going to do, see if it fits them and their goal. Okay. To get feedback, improve, and align your designs with the org. So this is a very real one. Now, current role requires me to continuously talk to stakeholders. So I want to be more effective in communicating with them and to hopefully get their buy-in, resulting in better customer experience. Yes. Awesome. That is nice. So what we will go right into, what are the tools that can help you, get to do this? I do have some notes here that I wanted to share with you. One of my first the most effective one that I tried for me is this one, the 5-step sales process. So you can search for this. Let me just. Pero ito kasi, again, my original purpose was for selling. For selling services, for freelance work. This was when I started doing my freelance work. And there are a lot of, for me, ito yung pinaka-effective for me. Now, I have read a lot of books that are talking about how to sell your ideas or how to sell for freelancing or clients. For me, this has been one of the most insightful and useful. The number one step is to establish rapport. So if you are trying to convince a stakeholder or a client, it is important to establish rapport. How do you do that? So it's easy to say na establish rapport, diba? But how do you actually establish rapport? They have techniques, no, and techniques based in psychology. One is to match and mirror yung physiology and yung tone of voice, and even the language and the system that they use. Ako, sobrang effective sa akin to when I was doing it in first time I was selling my freelance, no. Yung kausap ko, very bossy magsalita. Boss siya magsalita. Tapos, he uses certain words like return on investment. So, when I met the boss for the first time, I started to follow yung pace ng language niya. So, bababaan ko rin yung boses ko in a very subtle way. Akala mo, funny, no? Baka isipin to, pinagtatawanan ko siya, ko siya. Pero they don't notice, no? In my experience, they never notice. Pero, binamatch ko. So what you're saying is, you need this because it's a great return on investment. So mabilis. Or kung matining yung boses, especially kung may mga mahilig sa anime, so, ganito ang gusto mo, anuhin natin. So, this involves a bit of practice for you then, no? When you are doing your siguro in the morning, meron kang practice of the watching yourself and how you might change your tone of voice, your language, and even the words that they're using. ROI, sige, imabatch ko yung ROI mo. Yeah. So use the exact phrases that they're using, the way they're speaking, the manner of talking. If minsan nagpo-pause sila bago magsalita, you try to match their salita. So ganun. So tandaan mo yung so far sobrang effective nito sa akin. So that is why when we have our events in UXPH, I spend some time getting to know yung people in the events. I go around, kung kakilala ko, I try to remember na, oh hi, kumusta ka na? Tapos, oftentimes, ang value sa akin ng Facebook actually and Twitter is, pag nakita ko sa Facebook, Twitter yung last post niya. Or sometimes, nire-research ko right there and there. Ano yung last post niya? Ano yung huling sinabi ni Sofia? Hi, Sofia. Si Iya, for instance. Si Iya, lagi yung mahiling mag-post on ano eh. Tapos, I try to engage na, Sofia, I read your last. So, meron ka ng conversation point, no? Establish rapport. So, mga techniques ko, and that I'm showing you some of my techniques. Okay. To establish rapport, sobrang important. When I learned this one of the biggest insights for me. This is also very effective here for marketing, so for you for our UXPH events, match their language, their body, so it's intentional, but you need to practice quite a bit, no? Next, especially if you're selling, sobrang effective sa akin yung trying to establish ano ba yung purpose niya. Ito pretty standard naman to. So ano yung need mo? So what in our events, in UXPH events, what would you like to know in today's session? Exactly what I did with you. What would you like to know? So I trying to frame ngayon yung discussion. Okay? Yan pretty straightforward yan. In all sales will teach that. Now, the next one is the client must see or feel the need. So this goes to the concept of framing. Alam mo yung sa camera, framing, doon ano yung concept ng framing. If you're a director, you can control the frame, di ba, na nakikita ng audience mo. So when you are conversing with your stakeholder or you try to frame the discussion to ano yung gusto mong makita sa camera. Diba? So kung director ka, sometimes piniframe mo na nasa mukha lang. Di ba yung ano ba, ito a perfect example ng framing. Napanood nyo na yung old film na ni M. Night Shyamalan na sumikat siya. Yung Sixth Sense. Galing. Thank you for sharing that. So, ang galing ng frame, di ba? Piniframe ni director ni M. Night Shyamalan na from the point of view ni Bruce Willis, na yung psychologist. Tapos na nagbago yung frame sa dulo, frame of mind, na frame of yung bata na, ano ba to? Napanood yun na ba to? What I'm talking about? Baka hindi niyo pa napanood eh. May spoiler. Spoiler alert?
Okay, spoiler na.
Spoiler? Not yet. Mars, panoorin mo. Sige. I won't tell you the spoiler alert. Pero ang galing nung the way it was, the entire movie was framed from the point of view ni Bruce Willis. But pagdating sa dulo, biglang, what? So, ganun yung feeling.
Night natin to.
Movie night, exactly. Mag-movie night tayo for those who haven't seen it yet. So, going back to our discussion, frame the discussion. You be the director na if you're trying to this show, and especially if you're an artist, di ba, pakita mo yung part na gusto mo munang ipakita. Watch party, yes. This is exactly the concept na nandito naman kay Pitch Anything. So, si Pitch Anything. Hanapin natin si Pitch Anything. Ito dito. Pitch Anything something. I was just looking at it kanina. Pitch Anything. Anything. Book summary. You can just search. I'm just doing actual Google search. Although nakita ko naman ito mga to. Para you can just Google search as well. Yung mismong, yung mga topics na to. Okay? So, this one. This is the book. meron siyang framework na setting the frame. And then telling the story, revealing the intrigue, offering the price, nailing the hook point, getting a decision. So, very similar doon sa 5-step sales process. Sa 5-step sales process. So, itong dalawang to, yung for me, ang very, very useful na techniques. No? Find the need. So, and normally, ang ginagawa ko when I have, halimbawa, a website design, may starting question. If I do this, if you ask them this specific question. If I ganito, is this something of value to you? As in, you ask the question, may value ba sa'yo if we do this? And if they say no, dito pa lang, ang galing nga sa ano to. If they say no, wala value, leave na. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time convincing them. Kasi kung walang value, why for them yung what you're offering? Don't spend energy on it na. So really try to establish that first. Pero again, sales to sales. Iba yung marketing Kasi yung assumption mo is when you're doing marketing, when you meet with a sales client, interested na sila in the first place, diba? You've communicated your value. So when you are selling your pitch, your ideas to your design ideas to your clients, may assumption ka na interested sila in the first place. Bakit sila mag-meet sa'yo if they're interested? Pero again, ito yung ano niya, find the need. Ano ba yung need? So example nito, when I was doing this first time, and again, framing the discussion, no? How do I frame? Sobrang effective sa akin na, okay, gusto mo magkaroon ng website? Gusto mo magkaroon ng website? Bakit mo gusto magkaroon ng website? So I'll ask, and then you have to ask a lot of questions, no? Ano yung purpose mo ng website? Ano tingin mo mangyayari? And this applicable din dito yung ating UX research skills. If you're going UX research, bakit may value sa inyo? Ito. And why do you think this will work? Okay? So I asked a person sige, why do you need a website? And I tried to connect it na, sige. So you are, yung first, one of the clients na tinulungan ko is parang car sales website. So sabi ko na, magkano bang kinikita mong sa commission na isang kotse? Yeah. Magkano ang kinikita mo sa commission na isang kotse? This was way before Facebook, before all the Shopify. Magkano kinikita mo sa isang sa isang benta na kotse? Sabi mo, 10,000 pesos. You're making a commission of 10,000 pesos. So, if I make you, ito yung if blank, if I make you, if you are able to make 10 sales in your website, through your website, that's equivalent to 10,000 commission, diba? That's 100,000 pesos for you. So it's 100,000 pesos for you. So if it's 100,000 pesos for you for 1 month, I can charge you 100,000 pesos ngayon and mura yon. Kasi it's 100,000 for 1 month. ROI ka na agad after the first month. Diba? So that's anchoring and framing the discussion. What would happen? Ito pala yan. Nag-advance pala ako. Sa step 4 na pala yun. So yung question is, you try to find out paano mo i-link yung service mo towards yung need nila. So exactly nga. If you get you make 10 cars sales in 1 month, that's 100,000 pesos. Yun yung part na investigative. So saka may link. So if I help you make a website and you make 10 sales in a month, ROI ka na agad. Eh di sulit. Di nakamura ka sa akin. Diba? That's anchoring, framing the discussion. Diba? That's how you do it. So, example sa events natin sa UXPH. This one, diba? Etong natututunan nyo na ganito. Magkano binabayaran mo to learn something like this? Diba? So, Norman Nielsen, ang is at least $1,200. That's around 60,000 pesos for the whole day, diba? So, you have 1 hour. So, sabihin mo lang kung that's 8 hours. Sabihin mo mga 8,000 pesos an hour ang gagastusin mo. And how much are you getting this for? You're getting this for free. This entire session. So you are being a volunteer and you're getting at least 1,000 pesos worth of value for just 1 hour session of learning. See how I anchored the discussion, how I framed the discussion. So one of the key skills na in my experience when you're trying to sell your ideas is the framing part, the framing. How do you frame the discussion lagi in terms of. Now, hindi madali yon dahil sometimes, lalo na pag mga boss, sanay na rin mag-counter frame. Gato yung sasabi mo, pero yan. So, this is where you practice. You practice na ina-anticipate ano yung potential objections niya. So, and actually, yung last part, yung step 5, is so easy na. So easy na dahil when you do step 5, when you do this kasi parang, pag sinabi mang yes, dun sa frame of, ibig sabihin, pag ginawa kita ng website, and bumenta ka ng 10,000 pesos, and then 10 kotse in 1 month, di ang mura ng 100,000, di ba? Pag napa-yes mo siya, yun eh. Trigger. If you get them to say yes, that's your okay. So may value. Labas mo na agad yung kontrata. So, gawin na natin to. Contract. So ganon. And in sales, they are trained to close immediately in your first meeting. So close agad during the first meeting. Try to might take away agad. Okay? So this was one of my most powerful learning step sales process. Establish rapport, asking questions, and you're asking questions so that you can use it to find a need. When you have found the need, link the need to your service, to your capability, and then you close it agad. Apply natin sa UXPH events. No? Kita mo siya, you're here because you want to find a career, UX. So ibig sabihin, pag pumunta ka dito sa event namin and you try and there's potentially you can get the network of contacts that potentially can give you a job, di ba? And how much ang pinupunta mo for our events? Free. We should charge you. We should charge you 500. But we're not, di ba? Kita mo what I did there? I was framing the discussion. We could, magkano ang sweldo mo pag nakakuha ng trabaho? 20,000 pesos? Shucks, 20,000 pesos. If charge pala kita ng 500 pesos dito sa UXPH event, tapos nakakuha ka ng network, di ang mura ng 500 pesos. Diba? Framing the discussion. Okay? So, and then, ano ba ginagawa mo? Ba't hindi ka pumunta dito? So, yun yung the way we frame the concept of controlling the frame. And ito similar lang din to when I was reading Pitch Anything from Oren Olef. Again, the key point is framing the discussion. Okay, let's practice active recall. In chat, what is your first takeaway, your key takeaway from all this discussion so far? What is your key takeaway? Type in chat. Yeah, I see the chat. When I say go, press enter. Para sabay-sabay tayong lumalabas yung ating answer sa chat. So what is your key takeaway now from our discussion so far? What is our key takeaway from our discussion so far? Ready? Sige, type pa kayo. Enter So I'll give a 20-second timer. 20-second timer. 20 seconds timer. Uy, 2020 UXPH. Commercial break. By the way, we're having our 2020 UXPH conference, Designers as Navigators of Change, November 14 to 15. Tama-tama, 20 seconds. Ang galing ng segue, di ba?
In relation to that, if you want to volunteer with us, we are welcome to everyone.
Okay, press go. Mirroring, finding a need and framing. Andiyan si Tyrone. Hi, Tyrone. Finding a need and framing. Find the need of your audience and frame your presentation to match some needs. Important to build rapport. Find out the client actually needs, and this helps in framing the discussion. You need to understand your client's language so that you can properly connect. Nice. Okay. So actually, yan yung key ano natin for this, no? For me, one of the most effective talaga is this one. Balikan natin yung inyong ang ating discussion so far.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is kunwari? It's like a stakeholder meeting.
Hmm.
And then differing yung, syempre, with stakeholder meetings, they also have differing priorities if they're coming from different departments. So parang how do you handle that on how you'd be able to answer? I mean, at least get their buy-in from everyone.
So that's a good question, Kringle. Dito papasok yung next, one of the other skills na is yung negotiation. So yun now, so the other skill that you will develop as a, if you want to go into this, is the negotiation skills. So yung negotiation skills ngayon is basically nagbabump yung inyong frames of, if our context is frames, diba? Meron siyang frame, meron kang frame. But itong one of my favorite quotes sa aking mentors ever since is, everything is negotiable. So it's, and everything is negotiable, meaning it's not this or that. It's not black and white. There's always something in between. And there's an important book that I can reference for that. Chip Dan Heath. I think it's this one. Decisive, I think. I think it's Decisive. Yeah, Better Choices. Okay. Yes. So this is a nice book you can reference for. Meron silang framework na ginagamit dito na when making decisions, it's not this or that. And kasi we fall into the trap na it's either I take this job in, for instance, applying to Globe. It's either I take this job in Globe or I stay in my company. You think in terms of black and white. But there's always some middle in between. I will join, pwede mo i-negotiate na, okay, I will join you if you do this and can you give me this leeway 2 months to. So laging may in between. Laging may in between. Remember when you're negotiating. So when you're going back to our question, you're talking to your stakeholder and we don't have time to do this right now. So when will you have time for this? Is this, so again, establish rapport, establish values. Okay, you don't have time, but is this really important to you? Okay. So again, you can also use framing again. Okay, is this important enough for you na if you don't focus on it now, okay lang that you could be losing money? Okay. Kasi may opportunity cost of not doing anything right now, di ba? So, is it okay for you? You frame that discussion that way na hindi mo pa kinukuha to. Otherwise, paano kung maunahan tayo ng competitor natin? Paano pag maunahan tayo ng PLDT? Assuming nag-globe ka, di ba? For this, is it okay for us? Tanggap ba ng pride natin na sa company yun? Parang ganun ngayon yung framing. Again, you're controlling the discussion. Sabihin niya, okay lang. Di tapos ang discussion. Okay lang pala sa'yo. Again, di ba? Doon tayo sa 5-step sales process na if they say no, wala palang value sa'yo eh. So, one of the key lessons din here is feel free to leave. If walang value, huwag mo na pilitin. Diba? Para ka nanliligaw na, sorry, ako lang pala yung, applicable lang pala sa, sino bang natin dito? The boys, applicable sa mga nanliligaw. Kung ayaw sa'yo, huwag pilitin, di ba? Otherwise, may pag-asa, di ba? I mean, kung hindi naman no yung answer, saka ka mag-pursue pa, di ba? O sige. Pwede pala applicable sa panliligaw din tayo, no? Alright, so...
Life lessons then.
Life lessons, yes.
Also, life lessons here in UXPH.
Life lessons in UXPH. Alright, sige. Those are the key points that I wanted to go through when... so, in particular for design. So... and in your stakeholders. The other things that I'm starting, I've learned lately and that I'd like to tell you about is yung telling stories. Kaya ako mayroong story circle. Stories. Yan, ito. Tama-tama. Pala, hindi dito na pala. Nag-autofill na pala itong ko. Each pitch should tell a story, eliminate the neediness. The brain is wired to do things to achieve status, not money. Ito galing to sa Pitch Anything. Psychologically, people are trained. Meron tayong part to ng brain natin na crocodile brain. Crocodile brain, yun yung pinaka-primitive. We either flight or fight response natin doon sa crocodile brain na yon. So, this part of the brain manages new information. It responds to a sales pitch in 3 ways. You dismiss it, not useful. You identify it as a threat, delikado to, or you approve the message and then for further review by the midbrain. Ganda tong concept niya ng crocodile brain. So, it's nice to do this. Now, how do you communicate with the crocodile brain? You should tell a story. And that's why nandito naman nakikita nyo is yung story structure. One of the most effective stories. So, ang kwento nito is there's a study of sige, meron tayong study niyan eh. The monomyth. Yan. Hero's Journey. So, one of the most merong nag-conduct ng study way back in 1840s pa to na may na-discover silang patterns of all the myths in the world. And why do myths stick around? Why do stories stick around? And may tinignan silang patterns and merong usually yan yung may 3-part structure, the initial, the mid, and the end. And that's why we do in UX personas when you're trying. Why are personas important? For me, ang pinaka-important value ng creating a UX persona is identifying the story. Kasi when you do your story, when you interview your personas in UX, you identify the pain points, diba? So yun, immediate na naaalala ni stakeholders when you're telling your story. So that's why it's important to do UX research because your visual design is just one part of it. The other part is, ano ba yung pain point nung persona mo? Sino ba yung bida? At ano yung naging... Ang analogy ko dito is, think of it as a telenovela when you're telling your story, no? Ito yung telenovela, ito yung journey niya, and then yun din ang value ng having a user journey map, if you don't know a user journey map. When you map it and lahat ng pain points niya. When you frame your discussion, again, dito sa concept ng framing, no? When you frame your discussion with your stakeholders in terms of a story, my hero, my pain points, it's relating to something na ever since in the 1980s, in the ages and myths and legends, ganun yung format na sanay na tayo and we remember that way. Why do we remember it that way? Because of our crocodile brain. We are wired towards, we have been trained na itong story na to is important because this affects me. It's either I will survive or not with this story. So it's very important ngayon to tap the crocodile brain. You do that by telling a story. You tell an effective story by creating personas, customer journeys, and even service blueprints, no? Kasi the other part of the story is, bakit hindi natin nagagawa yan? Dahil yung services natin na back-end cannot support this. No? Okay yung front-end na yan yung visual design mo. Pero, if yung back-end is not supporting the front-end, hindi kompleto yung experience ng user. Make sense? Okay. So, one of the ways to do that nga is to tell a story, and the other part of it na ito na yung last part for today's discussion is you also need the numbers naman, the data, kasi sometimes they won't believe you if it's a story. That's just a myth, that's not the real thing. Now, and kaya yung pinapag-aralan namin, favorite naming discussion lagi is mixed methods research. Mixed methods. Why we do so we're doing our research. Oh, by the way, we're doing a research for UX Philippines. Soup, UX Philippines. What's that all about?
Please answer the State of the UX of the Philippines survey.
Yes, please answer
the survey.
Please answer the State of the UX Philippines survey because that helps us tell your story as a UX designer. So what are your pain points? So it goes to our second part of our discussion now. We need numbers, we need the quantity to convince stakeholders. So, mixed methods research, actually ito yung maraming books dito, pero ito yung nabasa kong book kay Sam Ladner. And he maganda explanation niya na we tell the story and we use the numbers quantity to convince stakeholders. No? So for me, this has been effective, sobrang effective. Nakikita ba yung chat? Hindi yata nakikita. Hindi naka-record yung chat. So tayo lang. Unless I mention it. Okay. So yun ang 3 main things na gusto kong maano sa inyo. Yung sales process, the framing, discussion, the 5-step, thinking in terms of qualitative and quantitative, telling a story and proving by showing numbers. Kasi people believe numbers. 70% of, according to our research, 70% of people who go to UXPH are professionals. Ganyan. Sinabi tayong numbers like last year in our Manila event, around 70% were, tama ba, hindi ko alam, pero correct me if I'm wrong, 70% were professionals, 30% were students. Example, 10% were career shifters. Now, if you'd like to sponsor UXPH, imagine that you are tapping 70% of all these experts, professionals, and 10% career shifters who could possibly be part of your team. Okay.
Please partner with us.
Please partner with us in UXPH.
We volunteer.
Or volunteer. Thank you. Yeah, so let's go back to our discussion now. So effectively communicate your work, the best approach to effectively communicate your ideas, how can you engage the participant audience, how to speak their language, persuasion tips. Okay, maganda pa. Meron tayong last part. Medyo yung the other 3, medyo nasagot ko na. There's another book that is my favorite, and I will again type it in chat because it's easier when you see me. Cialdini. Yes. One of seminal classics in persuasion design. Tama, 19 ano pa tong books niya. This guy wrote this book, The Psychology of Influence. This book. And hanapin natin tong book na to sa Amazon para makita niyo. Sobrang classic. For me, this was also one of the most influential, powerful books that I read when I started out design work. Robert Cialdini. And yung idea here is meron siyang principles of design, of influence and persuasion. Ito yun, 6 principles: reciprocation, commitment and consistency, social proof, liking, authority, scarcity. This has all worked effectively for me. No? Again, and this also ties in dito sa example ni Pitch Anything. And they use a lot of the same principles.
Okay. Super funny kasi that's the book that we're trying to read, Janil and me din, but we haven't gotten back to it again.
Maganda siya, may mga example kasi ano siya, research siya from a book. So all his researches, he was explaining yung research niya. So one of the things na yung commitment, sobrang memorable sa akin yung test niya ng commitment and consistency. When you ask them to agree to one small thing, mas matataas yung probability na nag-agree sa bigger thing. So, if I asked you, and medyo delikado to lalo na sa social media ngayon, di ba magaling tong mas mapayes mo lang sila. Mapapayes mo sila sa bigger thing. So, exactly the same technique din nung 5-step sales process, di ba? So, if persuasion tool, yes, Mars. So if you are able, diba yung sinabi ko yung frame the discussion. So if you are able to sell 10 cars in a month through the website, 100,000, sobrang laking value yun, diba? Pag mapa-yes mo sila, persuasion na, diba? Na yes mo na sila eh. So yun yung commitment and consistency. Ang mura ng service ko, I should charge you more. I should charge you para 200,000. Yeah. Pero I'm not. I'm only charging you 50,000 for one pager. Ganun yung... So, ang galing nung pinipare mo na yung mindset nila, ang mahal, tapos biglang... And that's why yung mga hard to get na techniques din eh. Kasi if it's hard to get, minsan, yung framing, yung ano na yan, hindi dito sa influence, parang scarcity. parang feeling mo scarce resource. And if there's a episode sa yung Nobel Prize winner na economics, si Nash, yung nabaliw, na siyang theory ng economics din na if a people like something, tumataas yung value niya. Pero if a lot of people don't like that, people bumababa yung value niya. So applicable din sa economics to eh. So, maraming connections tayong pwedeng establish. Okay, so go back to we have around 9 minutes left. Let's have another active recall session. What do you recall so far in the in previous discussions natin, last 10 minutes? I'll give you 1 minute to type in chat, 1 minute timer. Type in. So, ang ating mga responses. Volunteer sa SOOP, yes. Volunteer and State of the UX in the Philippine survey. Kung mapapayag mo sila sa maliit na bagay, may chance mapapayag mo sa malaking bagay. Actually, technique din yun sa pamaniligaw or kung gusto mong influence yung gusto mong ligaw sa iyo. Samahan mo naman ako magkape. O sige, kape. Samahan mo naman ako lunch. Sige nga, lunch. Samahan mo naman ako ng punta sa until hindi mo napapansin na sama na sa atin. Samahan kita ng samahan eh. Kasi di ba type ko ako? Oo nga, type na kita.
Well, gusto ko na sabihin na ang daming girls dito. So at least we know the tricks, guys.
Sus, alam niyo to eh. Kung kunwari pa kayo. You know this already. Read the influence book. Yes. But aside from that, you need to know more about who you are presenting to be able to influence and more. Get buy-in by getting small agreements as well. Everything is negotiable. Yes. Did I teach you something not good, Janelle? Baka bigla ka mag-negotiate sa boss mo? Kasalanan ko. Boss, why is my sweldo with this?
Look out.
Look into the psychology of persuasion, like how people tend to want scarce resources. Yes, Kendra. Persuasion is key. Yes, Mars. Telling a story using user personas is important, but also back it up with research. Research is important. Yo! Take the state of the UX survey. Nice. I love it, Kaizen. Story, ano pa yung mga sinabi niyo dito? Shared psychology is a big part of doing UX. Yes. Very good insight. Question. Okay. All right. So, do you have any questions before we end our session today? Nana? So, maybe instead of this question, what would you like to learn about in the next session? If we have a next session, what are ideas that you'd like to learn about for our next UXPH volunteers session? If you're a volunteer in UXPH, you can join these sessions.
Yes, so join now. Go to uxph.org so that you can join us. Thank you so much.
Yes, Kevin Liang. Uy, nice. Favorite mo si Kevin Liang, ha? Oh, by the way, si Kevin Liang, yung sikat na vlogger yan, di ba?
Sino?
Kevin Liang?
Si Kevin Liang from YouTube.
YouTube, di ba? I wonder kung makuha kaya natin siyang speaker sa UX conference. I wonder.
Nandun kaya siya?
But yeah, you guys should check out his YouTube channel. It's pretty awesome.
Yes. Kevin Liang on YouTube.
Follow us on social media. So stay tuned.
All right. Okay. So, anything else that you would like to learn for next session? Sige, type na lang sa chat.
Okay. Sige.
Or yeah, if you want to say it na lang.
I feel like people probably hate me for this, but I was thinking of maybe an application session. Kasi iba that we're trying to do. But it's nice that we're also able to apply it. Hopefully make it fit more.
That's awesome. So for next session, assignment. Magdala ka ng pitch deck na pwede natin i-video. Diba? Na pwede natin i-critique together. That's a good practice session actually.
I feel like I'm hating myself then for saying that. But yeah.
So yeah, for next session, if you are coming here, try to, kahit one slide lang, doesn't need to invest a lot, pero try to practice pitching to everybody. Thank you for watching today's episode on Conversations with Designers. I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
And join us for our next session on when we're learning together with the different UX volunteers, UXPH volunteers. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching.